Okay. Thank you, Dilruba. We heard three excellent speakers talk about PhD and postdoctoral opportunities in Spain, Switzerland, and Poland, mostly European countries. Some of them are from European Union. Switzerland is not from European Union, so we also heard that perspective. তো যেটা বোঝা গেল, what we understood is that the process is twofold. There are some universities in Europe which um, has this university selection system. You have to apply to the universities. You have to follow the procedure. You have to fill up the details. You have to upload some documents. You have to pay some fee. There are some cases they have fee. Some cases you can apply without paying fee at the beginning. But there is a university system, and there is a second system in which you can apply through a faculty. And in case of faculty, you have to send a mail telling about your intention to join his or her group and why you are a suitable candidate, and also what is your experience brings to the table. So you have to always think about three things: why you want to join the PhD, why you want to join the particular lab, and what you can contribute to that lab. What is your experience? What is your expertise? Right? তিনটা জিনিস ইম্পর্টেন্ট। তুমি কেন পিএইচডি করতে চাইছো ওই পার্টিকুলার টপিকে, দ্বিতীয় হলো উনার ল্যাবে কেন করতে চাইছো, আর তৃতীয় উনার ল্যাবে তুমি যে পিএইচডি করবে তুমি কি দিতে পারবে, কি তোমার মধ্যে
I mean,
আছে
I
যার
can,
জন্য
I
তুমি
can,
তোমার
I can, I can just maybe add some point which you just mentioned, which is very important. This is everyone should understand this point. Because when someone is hiring, because you are not from this particular country, and wherever you are getting paid for, so it's basically a taxpayer's money. So someone need to justify that when I am hiring some foreign students, some foreigners, so they should come and contribute, and that contribution should be good for this particular country's economy, right? So of course that when someone is hiring, you are joining as a PhD. So of course you don't come like with all the knowledge, so you should come and learn something. And of course, let's say towards the end of your PhD, you do some good piece of research which is valuable, and you can contribute to the group, you can contribute to the country. This is the most important part. So when you apply for a PhD, let's say if I'm the faculty hiring you, the first thing I would see that I don't see that okay, you know everything or not, because that for me it's not very important. For me, the thing which is very important is whether you are a good team person, because research doesn't happen single-handedly, so you need to work as a team. So whether you can work in a team, that is the first thing. The second thing is what you brings to the table, right? So whether you can contribute or not. Eventually the group will teach you, let's say, something in initial years. Okay, after that, when you learn something, can you take it forward and contribute to that? It can be, let's say, generating a new good publication, it can be a patent, it can be a company you can start. So this is very, very important, and everyone should do that. It's not in abroad. Wherever you go, you should think about this, because many people, they think that okay, I did my master's, I have nothing to do, let's get a NET or UGC NET or whatever it is, and then I'm getting paid for that. But they don't know what they are doing and why they are doing. So PhD is not fun, I would say. I mean, anything, I mean, don't take this fun. I mean, be very serious about your life and think about what you are doing, and there must be some cause what you are doing for. It's just because you have nothing to do and you are basically getting paid for something, and then let's do a PhD, and if I get something in between, I will quit and then I will join something. Let's not do this way, because you are basically being paid either in India or in abroad, and then if you do that, that's basically a wastage of resources, because you are basically taking one spot where another person could have joined and then did some good piece of research. So before you do a PhD, think about whether you want to do a PhD. I will tell something later. Let him finish. I mean, Dr. Asif, I forgot the name, but yeah, so I just wanted to bring this on the table. Yeah, sorry.
excellent, Amit. Thank you. So তিনটা জিনিস তোমাদেরকে মাথায় রাখতে হবে. You have to remember three things: why you want to do a PhD on that particular topic, what is your interest, why you are interested. Second, why you want to join that particular lab, and third, what you bring to the table. Okay, এই তিনটে জিনিস তোমার মেইলে থাকতে হবে, এবং তোমাকে একটা মেইল লিখতে হবে. You have to write a mail, you have to pinpoint all those 3 points, and then the faculty, maybe he or she will get interested in you and will call for an interview or something like that, or
Yeah.
he will formally start the process of PhD.
Yeah.
Once the PhD process starts, you have to be quick, right? You cannot be lazy and okay, I'll do it
Yeah.
after 1 week. You have to be very quick, very prompt. You have to show that you are serious about
Yeah.
joining the program, and you have to also prepare your slides and things like that.
Yeah.
And once the PhD process starts, the things are not very difficult, right? You just have to follow the instruction, you have to follow the procedure, university
Yeah.
procedure, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Eventually, we'll learn everything, you know. So that's not a big thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And you have to probably write something. They may ask you to write a project proposal or whatever, but
I mean,
those
that is
those
not,
they
I
will
mean,
help
as
you.
a postdoc, they might ask, but yeah, for PhDs, I don't think that is kind of a
Yeah.
very, I mean,
And
because this is not
even
the
if they
case, I
ask,
believe.
yeah, even if they ask, they will help you, or you can ask us,
Yeah.
because you already know, we can guide you.
Yeah.
So this is basically the summary. You have to either apply through university or through uh, particular faculties, and how. And now I think
I want to add one
Naseem,
more point here, because I
yeah,
know that there are some countries in Europe, you know, where, like in UK, they give 1 year master. Okay. In UK, they give 1 year master's program. Okay. And when I was in India, we were hiring someone. Okay. So it was like very confusing, because every country has a different, because in India, you do 3 years of BSc and then 2 years MSc. If you do engineering, it's four, right? And 4+2 for masters. Okay. So with that, if you go to some other country, it's very different, right? So in India, the PhD, let's say, takes 5 years, at least what the government funds for you, right? But if you go to some of the European countries, I don't know the information about the other countries, but I know in France they give PhD in 3 years. Okay, so your funding is for 3 years. But just remember that if you want to become a faculty, if you want to become a faculty, that 3 year PhD, as far as I know, I may be wrong, this 3 year PhD is not good enough. So what they do is, then why they do this? Because they don't want to take, let's say, a lot of time from your life. You do a PhD and then you quickly jump into the industry. That is good enough. If you want to become a faculty, many people, what they do, it's something called habilitation program, which is called something like doing a second thesis, but which is not under close supervision of a professor. You need to apply for that, and you would be hosted by some labs or some universities, and you need to do something called habilitation program. You know, that's I know from some other colleagues. So you need to be very careful about that, you know. So because if you go to the US, you know, you get probably 4 years, 5 years PhD, you know. I don't know about Spain and Poland, you know, that other two speakers can comment on that, but just be careful about that as well, you know, what you do, right? So yeah.
okay. So before you officially start the Q&A session, I will ask Naseem to just show the slides and show how to apply for a specific university related PhDs using the link findaphd.com, right, Naseem?
Yeah, thank you, Kaya. So let me share. So can you see this page? Find a PhD website. Hello.
Yes, it is visible. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So let's go from the beginning. So once you go to the Find a PhD website, you will see this. And then okay, so here you will see the discipline wise, but let's go with this show all PhD. So here you will see the filter options. So if I choose discipline, then here I can choose my own discipline, let's say economics. And okay, also want to see the particular institutions. So if I'm not very selective, then I can go with all institution. If I'm not selective with the country, let's say I want to do in PhD maybe in Poland, so I just choose in Poland. And okay, and here you will see the type of PhD. PhD research project, PhD research program, PhD opportunities. I'm not selective. I'll go with all. And here I will say I can choose. There what happened. Some PhD. I mean, if you are in India, like if you belong to outside the Europe, then you are not eligible. So I would say, first of all, I'm I'm not a self-funded student. I cannot. So I'll not click on it. I would say I am a non-European. So I'll just go with this. And then it will show me 80, total number of options for me will be 80. Okay. So this is how you can go with this website. So I just have shown you for economics. So you can go with geography. Likewise, you can go with maybe sociology or science, like physics, chemistry, whatever you want. So this is how you can use this website. And let me tell you, I think these websites largely cover, the advertisement, whether it is university-based PhD or project-based PhD. So I would highly recommend this. If you follow this one, I don't think that you really need something else, because the number is highly covered here. So it will really save your time. So I think I know more than 10, 15 students who are doing their PhD in USA, Australia, or even in Europe. They have taken their information from this website only. So it's up to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nasim. Is there anything Sahil wants to add before you go to Q&A session?
Yeah, I'm really sorry. There was some internet issue right then. That's why I had to cut off. And yeah, and about the thing which the admissions and procedure, like the job opportunities, which he said, like if you want to become a professor, assistant professor in Italy or Spain, you need to also have some experience, like which is far more than the PhD. You need to have postdocs and like in an average, the an assistant professor has an experience of around 6 to 10 years, like including like after PhD. So before getting into the becoming an assistant professor in Southern Europe, which like I'm covering mostly Europe's like Italy, Spain, and these Germany and this kind of area. Okay, and I would like to show one of the website which I was unable to show because of the share screen problem. Okay, can you is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, okay. So here this is
Is it
another
Euraxis, right? Yeah.
European Union
Yeah.
funded. Like here
Which
you
is
can
good.
find
Which is very yeah. Yeah.
so this is an official website of European Union. So you can filter
Yeah.
these for PhDs, and like I'm from physics, so I have selected the applied physics. You can see here this opportunities from Spain, whether it is funded by European Union or not, and various like themes is given properly. Like you'll find out in these in France, Spain, and Belgium, like that. You can find through this website, which is included in my EPT. Okay, that's it from me. Okay, thank you.
I need to go. So if I have some questions I can take before I go, that will be probably, I could see some questions many people have asked. So maybe if someone can read and I can answer, before, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Dilruba,
Uh,
you can, yeah.
yeah. We will start our Q&A session right away. So since our Dr. Iqbal is willing to go, I would like to ask the questions that are for him first. So okay, so after PhD, the question is asked by Imdad. After PhD and postdoc from abroad, what are the job opportunities in India in present situation? Another question is, how much probability are there to get a faculty position of college and university in India?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Every PhDs and every postdocs should ask the question to themselves. I mean, it's a very important question because you are not only thinking for 5 years, you have to think about long term, and you need to know that what you are doing, because PhDs and postdocs are not a job, right? So it's like temporary positions, and you have to find a job after that. Okay, it's a very important question, and many people were talking about the QS ranking 500. I know some of the NITs, they do follow that you need to be, but that they don't stop you, I believe, because what they do is they don't probably count your experience, but I believe they don't stop you from applying something. I don't know that rule, okay, but as far as I know, that like after PhD they ask for some experiences, let's say 3 years experience if you want to get, let's say, different what is that called, pay scale, you know. So if you are in within top 500 universities, they do count your experience. If not, probably they don't, but it was something which I read long back. I don't know if the rules have changed or not, but please correct me if I'm wrong. But again, like the thing is, as I said, doesn't matter whether you do PhD from India or abroad. End of the day, you have to do very good piece of research, okay, if you want to look for a research based job. Okay, now if you're talking about finding a position in India, finding a position in India can be of two different types. One is mostly in IITs, ISERs, you know, IISc Bangalore, or some of those where you are doing both teaching as well as research, right? That is one part. The second thing is, let's say, the central universities and the state universities. I'm not saying they don't do research. Of course, they do research, but there the teaching load is more. Okay, so you have to teach a lot. But in IITs, a faculty probably teach one course per semester. You know, so irrespective of where you are applying, you know, I mean, imagine like there is like probably hundreds of candidates applying for one particular position, you know, and you need to stand out, you know, among all of them. So you need to do something very different, you know, both in terms of research, publication. Now, everyone has a very wrong concept that I need to have 10 publications, I need to have 20 publications, okay? And let's say, let me give you an example. Let's say there is one position open in somewhere, an university called X in India. I apply, and everyone in this call, they also have applied. Okay, I have, let's say, 30 papers, and each of you has, let's say, 1 or 2 papers. Okay, so who will get the position, right? You might think that I have more papers, I might get it. I believe the scenarios are changing, okay? Because I might have 30 papers because I did PhD long back. Let's say I did my PhD in 2020. So I, after PhD, I still got a chance, let's say another 3 years to do research and get some publications, okay? You probably just have finished your PhD, you know? So you don't, so we both are not the same, right? In terms of experiences, right? So, and whenever you apply, you don't think that this is like your batch, like, you know, you basically come out of your school and it's basically a batch of 2010, 2011, 2012, something like that. So there, let's say the applicants can be from different batches, you know. So someone who has done a PhD, let's say 3 years ago, someone 5 years ago, someone 7 years ago, someone who just finished PhD. So in terms of experiences, it's very different, okay? So you cannot expect from everyone to have equal number of papers. So I believe the number of papers are not the deciding factor. Yes, in India, if you want to apply IITs, they ask for 3 first author publication. That is, I would say, the criteria for you to be shortlisted for the interview. Let's say, right? So let's say 500 candidates applied and they want to shortlist 50. Okay, 10% of that. So that is the criteria they put. Let's say who has 3 first author publications, they want to shortlist that. Now, among the 50, they will hire probably 1 or 2. So you need to be the best, you know, let's say top 3 to get hired, you know. So how do they, let's say, hire you, you know? So now all these 50 candidates, they will probably take interviews, and everyone is doing research, you know. Now you have to also understand that all 50 candidates are not applying for the same research area, okay, or let's say the same research problem. You are applying with a particular research problem, I am applying with a different research problem. So for the committee, it becomes very difficult that because we didn't work on the same topic, right? So again, like every topic, some topic where you expect more publication, some topics where you don't expect a lot of publication. So what really matters is, people used to think that if I have more papers, I have more chances to get hired. I believe this is a very wrong concept. Okay, you don't think about that. Okay? You should not think about that, because many people, they just publish. Doesn't matter, it's a Q1 journal, it's an UGC journal, something like that. I don't go into those journal rankings. For me, the hiring criteria is, what I understand, I may be wrong, that everyone will go through your CV and then they will ask you that how much advancement you have done to science through your research. So let's say the topic you were working, before you started the work, what was the state of the art on this particular topic? And after your PhD or after your postdoc, how much advancement you have done. Many people, they just do something called, there is a very famous thing called delta addition, okay? So someone who changed the parameter X, I want to go and change the parameter Y and then get a publication. This is not the way to do research. Okay. You have to think that why I am doing this. If I do this, what outcome will I get? And if I am able to contribute to that community, not just to get a publication, just to advance the science. If you are able to do that, believe me that you have a very, very good chance to get hired. I don't know how and this, but this is theory. This is like the very basics you should remember, and you can apply anywhere. Doesn't matter only in India. If you also apply in abroad, I believe you have a very high chance of getting selected. This is how, because previously, now if you see in like the CV format has changed for faculties. So they ask for top 3 publications you have. So even if you have 50 publications, you are not allowed to put all your publications in the job application CV. You need to only put 3. The top 3 you have to put. So they will see that in top 3 publications, how much advancement you have done to the community or to the particular field you are working. So imagine if someone is coming 50 publication and you are only 3, but maybe your 3 is much better than mine 50 publications. So you have probably a better chance than a person who has 50 publications. And I hope I'm able to answer the question.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next question is to Dr. Iqbal as well, by Jhantu De. Uh, what are the pros and cons of doing postdoc in abroad, and what is the process of returning to India?
I mean, I would say that everything has pros and cons. I mean, I wouldn't go into too much into the details. Of course, if you're doing, you get a chance to, I mean, I would say the pros thing, right? So you get a chance to experience a new culture, a new country. Of course, let's say when you are working in, let's say, people from that particular country, you get to know something new because they have a different working style. So all these things, If you see the cons, of course, you are away from family, so you must be missing your family if you're married. And if your wife is not living with you, so you must have, or let's say your girlfriend is not living with you, so you have a very long distance relation, which is hard sometimes to maintain. So these are all very personal things. And how to come back? Of course, you need to apply. But if you are already in India, sometimes this also becomes, let's say, if you have done all your studies from abroad, and then if you want to come back, and you don't know how the Indian academia works, this becomes really difficult, because you need to understand, right? Tomorrow, if you become a faculty, you need to know how the academia works. So I believe that mixed of both really helps. But again, there is no hard and bound. I mean, there is no hard and fast rules. This, I think, it's very case by case. It's very specific topic. But if you do both in India or in abroad, end of the day, what matters is what quality of research you produce, and that should be the sole criteria for you to be selected for any positions. It can be in the industry, or it can be as a faculty in academia. So that's, I would say, my answer to that. Yeah.
All right. So one last question to Dr. Iqbal. If
I mean, I can take more questions. It's fine. I mean, yeah.
All right, all right. Then Jontu has also asked another question. If he has requested to the speakers to share some of their personal experiences with the interview process of getting hired into different institutions. So would you like to share some insight on
I
that?
mean, I would say that I have given interview. I have also taken some interviews as well. So I can be I can share some experiences. So I mean, it's not very different wherever you apply. Okay. So when you apply something, and let's say there is an open position, and of course you need to go to the link and you need to apply. So let's say I am hiring someone and I receive, let's say, 100 of CVs, and I go through all the CVs and I select, let's say, 10. Okay. And with 10 people, what we do here is, let's say, the PI, who is basically the head of the lab, who has a very small, let's say, communication with the candidates, let's say the 10 candidates, and say that, okay, this is what we do in the lab, and this is what the position is looking for, right? And then they say that, okay, come up with some presentation, what you have done in your master's. If you are applying for a PhD, if you are applying for a postdoc, they will ask make, let's say, a 20-minute presentation. Okay, so 20 minutes, you can say 20 slides, no more than 20 slides, and give a presentation. Okay, so the presentation would be in front of the professor and also the group members. Okay, so let's say the group has some postdocs and some PhDs, and after the presentation, there will be some Q&A. So you have to, of course, answer some questions. But then eventually, what really matters is like what we do. I'm not saying this is like the universal rule. So after this Q&A, the professor leaves the meeting, and then the student is left with the PhDs and postdocs. So the PhDs and postdocs interacts closely with the candidate and say that if the candidate is good enough to work in a team, because again I say that you have to be a team man. You cannot say that okay, I'm like someone, like if you are playing a football and you say that I'm not giving pass to someone, I'm like good enough to score a goal. It's not, so we of course do see the personality. We see if the student is really good in doing some teamwork, and of course there are some feedbacks we give, let's say, and then finally the professor takes all the feedbacks, and then he also has some thoughts about, let's say, the interviews. But what we see is that if you are applying for a PhD, we don't expect that you should know everything. Okay, even if you don't know something, be honest. Don't make false stories. Okay, which is very bad. Okay, be honest. Be very specific. Don't play the hide and seek game. Okay, this is very bad. The second thing is, if you don't know something, just say that maybe I'm sorry, I don't know. But don't try to make up that okay, somehow I'm trying to recall. Okay, it's good to say that I don't know. Okay, this is probably a very fair way to say that I don't know, because we are humans and we don't know everything. Okay. Then the third thing is, so they see that if the person is it's a good team man, and if he has some good basics. Okay, if you have some good basics, then in PhD the team will help you to learn, and eventually once you learn, so you will get a lot of support in the first year or second year, and then after that you become more independent, and then you do research by yourself, and then you produce some good research. So that's how I believe this is how it works. Yeah, I mean, for me, when I applied, I mean, I wouldn't say, I mean, there were like 200 candidates for one position I applied, and there were like a lot of interviews happen, and finally I was shortlisted. So luckily I was shortlisted for that. So, but again, like you don't, I mean, I would say that you don't think about too much about this. Okay, let's say why there are so many candidates and how I can get. You should have this confidence that okay, if I'm good, then there is a chance that you might get selected. Okay, so I would say that having this self-confidence is very enough, and you need to be very positive. You cannot think negative. Oh, there are like 200 candidates, how can I apply and then how can I get selected? So don't do that, because you never know how things works. So you put your efforts, be honest, and the rest, it's not in your hand. So just whichever is not in your hand, so don't worry about that. Do what you can do. So you can do good research, you can be honest, you can give a good interview. The rest, just leave it to the committee who is hiring you. So yeah, that's all I would say.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Iqbal, for staying with us so
Yeah,
long. So now we will have some questions from the humanities student.
I mean, if someone has some questions, I say that I think many people were asking. Oh, sorry,
Yes.
I think someone was probably asking some questions. I think some grant or something. I saw that. Uh,
Okay. Yeah. Madhuri Rana has asked a question about grant. Can you talk a bit more on grant writings?
I mean, this is a very separate topic. If I talk about this, probably the other speakers will not get a chance. So I don't want that things to happen. So let others also speak. But you can also do another session on probably writing grants, because this is like, I would say, kind of an informative session. But the grant writing is more like a technical session where we should show also how we do that, because eventually it's not only the grant writing. You can make a session about scientific writing, because eventually everyone should understand that whatever the research you do, who knows your research? Your supervisor, maybe some of your friends and some of your colleagues, but the rest of the world doesn't know. So eventually you need to communicate to the rest of the world, look, this is what I did and this is how it can help the science. Okay, so that's why the communication is very important. So you need to speak. Okay, if you go and attend some conferences, so you need to speak, you need to understand what you are doing, and you should be able to, let's say, let also others understand what you are doing. That is the first thing. The second thing is, it's not only the verbal communication. You have to write scientific papers which other scientists also will read. So scientific writing is probably one of the most critical, I would say, one of the most important criteria for a scientist. It can be writing research paper, it can be writing research grant applications. So whatever it is, so my suggestion is you can make another session which could be more technical. We can give some suggestions, and but everyone should improve on that. But again, don't worry about English, because you are not a native speaker, so you are not like your mother tongue is not English. So everyone speaks good or bad English, which is, I would say, not very important. All you need is like your thoughts. You should have some thoughts, which you should bring it in the form of writing. You can write it in Bengali, later you can translate it, you can write in Hindi, you can write anywhere, but your thought process should be should be reflected on the writing. Doesn't matter if you write a good English or a lot of grammatical mistake. I don't care about that. All I see is if you have written well or not, and if I'm able to understand this or not. So don't worry about that, and don't be ashamed, because English is not your mother tongue, or English is not you're not a native speaker. So it's absolutely fine to speak or to write wrong English. It's fine, I believe.
Okay, so I would like to request Dr. Iqbal to stay with us a little bit long, so that if we have any question addressed to
Yeah, I'm
you.
online. You continue. Yeah. Let others also speak, but I'm online. Yeah,
Okay.
but I will mute
Yes.
myself, but let others speak.
Thank you very much. So now I would like to take some questions from the humanities student. At first, we have প্রচেতাস চ্যাটার্জি প্রশ্ন করেছেন, পোল্যান্ড বা স্পেনে ইন্ডিয়ান স্টুডেন্টরা ইংলিশে পিএইচডি করতে পারে? ইংলিশের প্লেসমেন্ট কেমন হয়? তো আমি ফার্স্টে নাসিম আহমেদ মন্ডলকে এটার আনসারটা দিতে বলবো, তারপরে স্পেনের ব্যাপারেও জানবো।
Okay, so to be honest, I really do not know much about this English thing, but what I know ki University of Warsaw আছে দুটো বা তিনটে কোর্সেস অফার করে মাস্টার্স লেভেলে, আর পিএইচডি লেভেলে প্রবাবলি একটা ইন্টারডিসিপ্লিনারি কোর্স আছে, সেখানে আই এম নট ভেরি সার্টেন অ্যাবাউট ইট টু বি অনেস্ট, যেখানে অ্যাপ্লাই করতে পারে প্রবাবলি। আর ইয়া, আর প্লেসমেন্টের ব্যাপারটা টু বি অনেস্ট, লাইক as what to say, Dr. Ramiz Iqbal told, it's all about how much you contribute. It's very much important to get selected wherever you go, especially in European context. So yeah, I mean, kind of publication that you make, especially top 3 journal in the world, like we cannot say the top journals are the best, but there are some correlation between the journals and the contribution of the papers. So if you are not actually contributing, it's difficult to get your paper published in a very good journal. So there are some correlation that we cannot deny. So that's how you can prove actually, that you are somebody who has actually uplifted the existing, the knowledge. And yeah, so I hope you got my point.
ইয়েস, সাহিল পারভেজ, আপনাকেও একটু রিকোয়েস্ট করব যে ইংলিশ বা ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের পিএইচডি নিয়ে স্পেনে কিরকম অপরচুনিটিস আছে এই ব্যাপারে যদি একটু এনলাইটেন করতেন।
ওকে, তো অ্যাকচুয়ালি ইংলিশ বা যে কোনো রিজনাল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ যদি কেউ শিখে থাকে তাহলে অপরচুনিটিস ডেফিনেটলি, ইফ ইউ লুকিং ফর প্লেসমেন্টস অর অপরচুনিটিস, ইয়া ইট ইজ দেয়ার। কারণ মানে প্রত্যেক ইউরোপে এমন হয় যে ইফ ইউ আর লুকিং ফর ইন একাডেমিয়া, যেটা উনি বললেন, নাসিমদা বললেন, ইন একাডেমিয়া, ইয়া ডেফিনেটলি ইউ ক্যান গো ফরওয়ার্ড। সেই একই রকম মানে চিরাচরিত মানে যেরকম সবার হয় বেসিক্যালি ওই প্রসেস সেম থাকে। বাট apart from that, if you're looking for industry, if you আর যদি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজটা অনেকগুলো মানে জানা থাকে, then you have a plus point actually. ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ কি মানে প্রত্যেকটা কোম্পানি, মাল্টিন্যাশনাল কোম্পানি যতগুলো আছে সবার ব্রাঞ্চ অল ওভার দ্য ওয়ার্ল্ড থাকে, যার জন্য যদি ইন্ডাস্ট্রিয়াল সেক্টরে দেখা যায় তাহলে অবশ্যই মানে ওখানে অনেক বেটার অপরচুনিটিস পাওয়া যায়। তো if I'm right, like I'm not sure if that is the question. I could satisfy the question.
Sahil, you're
Thank you
right. I
very
mean, in PhDs, it's not important to learn the language, but if you want to get a job,
Yes.
language is very important, because you are not doing a PhD. You need to, let's say, talk to your customer. You need to talk to your colleagues. So language is sometimes, I would say, mandatory. Sometimes they say that highly preferred. So language is very
Yeah,
important if you want to work in abroad. This is very important.
exactly. Because my like what happened with me is when I gave the interview, it was completely in Italian because I was in Italy. I completed my master's in Italy, so my
Yeah,
job interview was in Italian. So
yeah,
yeah.
it's very important. Please make it as a good point.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Before we go to the next question, let me contribute something. তো তোমরা
Sure.
যারা একটা জিনিস মাথায় রাখবে, তোমরা যারা অন্তত দুটো ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ জানো, দুটো ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট, ইংলিশ এবং তুমি যে কান্ট্রিতে যাচ্ছ সেই কান্ট্রি যদি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ তুমি জানো, তাহলে যেটা সুবিধা হবে, লেটস সে তুমি জার্মানিতে যাচ্ছ, জার্মানিতে পিএইচডি করলে, ইউ নো জার্মান এন্ড ইউ নো ইংলিশ, that ensures that whatever opportunities in Germany you have after PhD, that will broaden, মানে সেটা অনেক ব্রড হয়ে যাবে। কিরকম ব্রড হয়ে যাবে? স্কুলে ফর এক্সাম্পল জার্মান স্কুলে তুমি যদি পড়াতে চাও, তুমি জার্মান না জানলে তুমি অলমোস্ট ঢুকতেই পারবে না, রাইট? তুমি যদি জার্মানির কলেজে আন্ডারগ্রেড কলেজে পড়াতে চাও, তোমাকে জার্মান না জানলে জেনারেল তোমাকে প্রেফারই করবে না ঢোকার ব্যাপারে। সো দুটো ইম্পর্টেন্ট ব্যাপার আছে এখানে, একটা হলো তোমার ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ জানাটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট কিনা। ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ অবভিয়াসলি তুমি যে কান্ট্রিতে যাবে সেই কান্ট্রির ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ তুমি জানতে পারো, তোমার সেই কান্ট্রিতে তুমি যদি থাকতে চাও পিএইচডির পরে, খুবই ইম্পর্টেন্ট সেই ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজটা জানা। দ্বিতীয় হলো যদি তুমি লিটারেচারে পিএইচডি করতে চাও, সেক্ষেত্রে গল্পটা কি, লিটারেচারে জেনারেলি নন ইংলিশ স্পিকিং কান্ট্রিতে, ইন নন ইংলিশ স্পিকিং কান্ট্রিজ, ইংলিশ লিটারেচার ইজ নট দ্যাট পপুলার। ঠিক আছে, ওখানে ইংলিশ লিটারেচার নিয়ে, এক্সাক্ট ইংলিশ লিটারেচার নিয়ে খুব বেশি পিএইচডি হয় না, খুব বেশি ফান্ডিং নেই। যেটা আছে ওদের নিজস্ব ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের লিটারেচারে আছে অবভিয়াসলি, বাট যেটাতে আছে, যে জায়গাটাতে আছে, সেটা ইন্টারডিসিপ্লিনারি রিসার্চ যেগুলো, সেগুলোতে আছে। যেমন ধরো তুমি যদি জিওগ্রাফি, মানে ইকোনমিক জিওগ্রাফি, ইকোনমিক্স ইত্যাদির সংমিশ্রণে যে যে প্রজেক্ট গুলো তৈরি হয়, যেগুলো সোসিওলজি রিলেটেড প্রজেক্ট, কিছু কিছু তোমার কমিউনিকেশন রিলেটেড প্রজেক্ট, কিছু কিছু তোমার জার্নালিজম রিলেটেড প্রজেক্ট, এইগুলোতে তুমি যেতে পারো, সেগুলোতে তোমার কিন্তু ইংলিশ ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডের লোকেরাও যেতে পারবে, জার্নালিজম ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডের লোকেরাও যেতে পারবে, অন্যান্য ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ, যদি পার্টিকুলারলি ওই কান্ট্রির ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ হয়, if this language is particular to that country, then it will be more than welcome. So এই জিনিসগুলো যদি মাথায় রাখে, একটু বুদ্ধিমান হও, তাহলে তুমি কি করতে পারবে, তোমার ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের, তুমি যে ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ, এক্সট্রা ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ যদি জানো, and if you have a good background in English or any other literature, you can still make it to that country, তাহলে তুমি এটা করতে পারবে। কিন্তু তোমাকে ওই ইন্টারডিসিপ্লিনারি যে টপিকস গুলো, যে প্রজেক্ট গুলো, সেগুলোতে রিসার্চ করার মনোভাবনা থাকতে হবে, তোমার ইন্টারেস্ট কিন্তু থাকতে হবে। শুধু ইংলিশ লিটারেচারে পিএইচডি করবো এইটা করলে কিন্তু অপশন কম, রাইট? তুমি যদি একটু ব্রড করো, ফিল্ম স্টাডিজ কে ইনক্লুড করলে, রাইট, তুমি অন্যান্য ন্যারেটিভস কে ইনক্লুড করলে, সোশ্যাল ন্যারেটিভস যেগুলো আছে, তুমি আরো 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 জার্নালিজম কে ইনক্লুড করলে, দেন দেয়ার আর মেনি মোর অপরচুনিটিস দেন সিম্পলি ইংলিশ লিটারেচার। তো তোমাকে এইভাবে ভাবতে হবে যদি তুমি বিদেশে করতে চাও। ওকে
Bhaiya, I would like to add one more point in this regards, that
Yes.
I forgot to talk about it, that there is a philology department at the University of Warsaw, so definitely you can apply there. So, but I am not certain that whether it is very popular one or not, because anyway, as Asif Bhaiya said, that non-English countries, their department of English, or philology as a whole, like, it's not super popular. So the point is not that is it necessary to be popular. Somewhere we have to be a little bit dependent on statistics. Like, if a university is good, ranking is good, it simply means that the research production is good. Am I right? And then that's how statistics work. So of course, like you know Shashi Tharoor, he did not do his PhD from Oxford or Cambridge maybe, but still he's much better than many other the student who did their PhD from Harvard or something like that. So it's not correct all the time, but most of the time it is correct to have a degree from a good university which has good rank. So and existing research also says the same. There are correlations with good publication, with good ranking universities. So I would highly recommend, when you are looking for a PhD in English and whatever it is, just see that, because I have seen people suffering after coming abroad. Their supervisors are not good enough, and could not supervise properly. So these things you should not face. Yeah, thank you.
See, I want to add something here. Okay. So the thing is, many people, I think you need to understand. I think many people, they are not like 100% sure why they need to do a PhD. Okay. So if someone wants me to speak in Bengali, I can do that. Okay. I don't have a problem with Bengali, but it's just I'm more familiar. But yeah, so you need to understand why you should do a PhD. Okay. So this is the very first thing. And the PhD requires three different things. One is perseverance, one is patience, and of course, you need to be very disciplined. It's not like you are doing undergrad masters and then you just read before the exam night and then just pass the exam. This is not the case. In PhD, there is no exam. You need to work on a daily basis and you need to progress. Okay. This is how it works. So even before that, you need to understand that why you are looking for a PhD, whether you want to go for a faculty position or you are looking for a job in the industry. Okay. So if you are looking for a faculty job, you need to have a lot of understanding, lot of knowledge. Okay. So there, PhD really makes sense because you are progressing or you're advancing the science. But if you are going to the industry, because imagine what knowledge you are doing, that knowledge is probably not relevant to the industry at this point. Maybe after 10 years, your research, or let's say after 5 years, your research may be more relevant to the industry, but at this point, it's not. So if you have a plan to go to the industry, so like besides doing advancing the knowledge, try to get skills. Nowadays I would say, I mean, coding has become like kind of an absolute necessity wherever you go. It is even necessity for a social science also. So having skills is very important, because when I am giving you a job or looking for like some applicants, I would see that if the guy can do the job for me. I don't see that if the guy has done a master's or a BSc, MSc, PhD, doesn't matter. I need to get my job done because I have to pay you the salary, right? So I will see that whether you have certain skills to get the job done, right? Doesn't matter. Let's say someone who didn't even pass 12 exam and this guy can code. I will definitely hire the guy because he can get the job done. And someone who has even done a PhD and not able to write a code for me, why do I hire? So eventually what really matters nowadays, because now everything is, let's say, kind of everything is there in the internet. You can find all the knowledge. What is mostly important is the skills. So if you have certain skills, you don't need to have all the skills. Certain skills which are required for some jobs. I mean, mostly it is important for the social science. They think that, okay, we are doing a lot of studies, what skills we can have. Yeah, you can learn a foreign language that can give you a job. You can learn something. So you have to just see what opportunity you have around you and then get those skills. And then it is I would say much easier for us to get a job. So please keep that in mind. And unless you are going for a faculty position, absolutely fine. If you are looking for a job, get some skill under your belt and then you apply for a job. That really helps. So yeah.
Right. So I would like to address our next question to Nasim Mohammed Mandal. The question is by Suparna Gorai. If one does their MA in India, then can they apply for PhD in these countries? I think she's asking for whether they have to do MA again in that
No,
respective country.
in Poland particularly, not really, because we have, the 3 years bachelor, then 2 years masters, so it's not necessary, definitely. I applied in UK, so what happened? For the purpose of fellowship, the professor asked me to do 1 year master, and he told me that আমি যদি ওইটাই পাশ করি with 65% marks, and then ওরা আমাকে fellowship দেওয়া শুরু করবে, something like that. But in general, I mean, definitely you are eligible to apply for PhD if you do masters in India. I mean, 2 years masters in India. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. And one more thing in humanities and social science. So one perception that we only need to work in typical industries or maybe in academics. There is another option that we have, the world biggest organizations like United Nations. It mostly consume students from the social science background, those who study like political science, sociology, law, something like top 12 social science subjects that we have. So I would say that the point is, I never say that doing PhD is not a good idea. I mean, doing PhD in India is not a good idea. But if you come abroad, as again Bhaiya Ramesh Bhaiya told, that you will get new place, new environment, new people. Of course, you will learn something new. And to be honest, like for me, my background was rural and very, like what to say, I studied in non-English medium up to 12th standard. So for me, exposure was super important. And now I know many things which I did not know, even after spending 8 years in a city like Mumbai. Okay. So, and I also spent 3 years in a very good university like Aligarh Muslim University. So many things I did not know. So that's the reason I really emphasize that try to have a degree from abroad. Even if the university has little bit lower ranking, even if it is, it will really uplift your acceptability and so many other things. And yeah, so I hope
Right.
you
Yeah. We have two more questions to Nasimda. Upasana Mishra has asked, hello sir, I did my BA and MA from Jadavpur University, Kolkata in political science with international relations. I am actually looking for fully funded PhD opportunities in international relations. Um,
Yes,
yeah,
so yeah, University of Warsaw provide PhD in political science and international relation. So definitely you can apply for it. And this is the subject which most of the universities in Europe, I think in general, they offer. And again, I'm telling you, this is the subject which has a huge scope, getting job in the United Nations. I already worked in UNICEF. So to be honest, like it's just a great opportunity for the social science student now to be a part of the solution of the world problem, because now we need more social science student to fix the social problem rather than any other things. So I mean, I really appreciate if you come and do your PhD from Poland and just contribute and join United Nations and yeah, to solve the problem, social problem.
right. One more question from Madhumita Dash. Hello, I did my master's in geography from Jadavpur University. My question is, what are the research exposures on the field of remote sensing and GIS in Europe?
Okay, this is also related to my field. So in University of Warsaw and few other universities in Poland, they offer PhD in geography, so which contains this GIS part. But to be honest, I have one friend who is doing PhD in from the geography department. But what happened is that nowadays social science research has become very interdisciplinary. So definitely you can apply, but I don't know whether University of Warsaw has very good, the platform for, especially for the GIS. I really doubt about it. So you can apply some other universities in Europe. So again, I would say that just see the professors who are working, their publications and everything, and your interest. If you find match, then apply. Otherwise, University of Warsaw's research is really interdisciplinary in that department. Yeah.
Right. So our next question is by Suparna Gorai. I would like to address this question to Sahil Parvez.
Dilluba, before next question, I'll just add one point regarding
Right.
remote sensing and GIS. So Madhumita, remote sensing and GIS, is Madhumita there, or otherwise we can go to the next question?
Madhumita, are you here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you want to apply in UK, for example, there are many universities. There was a talk by Mehboob, and he talked about geography, PhD, and postdoc opportunities in UK. You can see the video. And in US particularly, there are many universities which also offer specialized PhD program in remote sensing and GIS. So you should definitely apply for those as well as Europe, right? Which you want to apply. Okay. So তোমাকে যেটা দেখতে হবে যে PhD ডেসক্রিপশন গুলো আছে, প্রজেক্ট ডেসক্রিপশন, তোমার কি ট্রেনিং আছে রিমোট সেন্সিং জিআইএস এ, না তুমি জাস্ট ওটা শিখতে চাইছো?
না, আমার আছে, আমার পিজি ডিপ্লোমা এখনো চলছে, আমি সেকেন্ড সেমিস্টারে, আমার যাদবপুর থেকে পিজি ডিপ্লোমা করছি আমি।
ভেরি গুড, ভেরি গুড। ইন দ্যাট কেস তুমি ডাইরেক্ট অ্যাপ্লাই করতে পারো। আমার একটা বন্ধু আমার ইউনিভার্সিটিতে এখানে পিএইচডি করছে, জিআইএস এক্স্যাক্টলি এই টপিকে। আই ক্যান টক টু হিম ইফ নিডেড। বাট তুমি তুমি অনেক ইউনিভার্সিটিতে পেয়ে যাবে প্রজেক্ট ডেসক্রিপশনে জিআইএস, অনেক জায়গাতে লাগে। এবং তোমার যেহেতু ট্রেনিং চলছে তুমি বলছো, দ্যাট উইল অ্যাড টু দ্যাট এক্সপার্টিজ। তোমার এক্সপার্টিজ ওটা অ্যাড হবে এবং তোমার চান্স বেড়ে যাবে। So I'll definitely encourage you to apply in US, UK and EU. Okay?
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ।
আচ্ছা, আমাদের পরবর্তী প্রশ্ন সুপর্ণা গড়াই। প্রশ্নটি আমি সাহিল পারভেজের কাছে অ্যাড্রেস করতে চাইবো। হোয়াট আর দ্য পয়েন্টস ওয়ান শুড কনসিডার while রাইটিং আ গুড প্রপোজাল? একটু সংক্ষেপে প্রশ্নের উত্তরটা দেওয়ার জন্য অনুরোধ জানাচ্ছি।
আচ্ছা, ফর আ গুড রিসার্চ প্রপোজাল বেসিক্যালি আমাদের যেটা মেইন পয়েন্টস যেটা দরকার ওটা হচ্ছে আমরা মানে কি মানে কোথায় অ্যাপ্লাই করছি, কোন পজিশনের জন্য, আর তার ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড, প্রফেসরের ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড রিসার্চটা কি, ওটা মাথায় রেখে আমাদের কি কি প্লাস পয়েন্টস ওটা মেনশন করাটা সবচেয়ে ইম্পর্টেন্ট। যেমন যেমন মানে ধরো আমার এক্সপার্টিজ, আমার বিভিন্ন জায়গায় এক্সপার্টিজ মানে আচ্ছা আমি অনেকগুলো কাজ করেছি, কিন্তু ওই প্রফেসরের যেই টপিক বেরিয়েছে, যেই টপিক আমি অ্যাপ্রোচ করতে চাইছি, ওই প্রফেসরের আন্ডারে মানে যেই যে প্রফেসর যে যে কাজ করেছে ওটা আগে গো থ্রু করে, মানে ওর যদি আমরা মেনশন করতে পারি যে আম, যে এই আই হ্যাভ বিন লাইক ওনার এই পেপারে যে এই পার্টটার তোমার সাথে লিঙ্ক যদি কোনো ভাবে লিঙ্ক করা যায়, যে প্রফেসরের সাথে কাজ করতে চাইছি, ওটা একটা প্লাস পয়েন্ট দেয়। প্রফেসর এতে ইন্টারেস্টেড হয় যে লাইক দ্য স্টুডেন্ট হ্যাজ অলরেডি সিন মাই পেপার্স, মানে সে এটা একটা পজিটিভ ইম্প্যাক্ট দেয়। আর দ্বিতীয় কথা হচ্ছে যদি যতটা আমরা মানে কনসাইজ লিখতে পারি আর ভালো ওয়েল প্ল্যান্ড হিসেবে লিখতে পারি, মানে আলাদা আলাদা সেকশনস যদি করে লেখা যায় ওটা বেটার হয়। আর বাকি হ্যাঁ মানে একটু ইভেন আমি এটাও বলতে চাই যে শুধু রিসার্চ প্রপোজালটাই নয়, আমাদের যে সিভিটাও খুব মানে প্রত্যেকটা, আমি যা করি হচ্ছে যেখানে আমি অ্যাপ্লাই করি তো প্রত্যেকটা জায়গার জন্য আমার সিভি চেঞ্জ হয়, বিকজ আমার ওটা মডিউলেট করে যে আমি কোন প্রফেসরকে অ্যাপ্লাই করছি আর কোন পজিশনের জন্য অ্যাপ্লাই করছি, ওই হিসেবে আমাকে আমি পুরো মানে এটা চেঞ্জ করি। বিকজ আমার যে কাজ হয়েছে বেসিক্যালি সেমিকন্ডাক্টর ইন্ডাস্ট্রি, যেটা কোয়ান্টাম মেটেরিয়ালস অ্যান্ড কোয়ান্টাম কম্পিউটিং দুটোতেই আমার কাজ আছে। তো যে আমি যেই প্রফেসরকে অ্যাপ্রোচ করি আমি সেই অনুসারে আমি 2-3টে সিভি কপি বানিয়ে রেখেছি। তো যাকে আমি অ্যাপ্রোচ করি আমি তার মানে সেই পদ্ধতিতে মানে আর মাথায় রেখে আমি করি যে মানে কোন পজিশনের জন্য অ্যাপ্লাই করছি, কাকে অ্যাপ্লাই করছি, আর ওই এই পয়েন্টস গুলো খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট। বাস, দ্যাটস ইট।
ওকে, একটা প্রশ্ন যেটা অনেকবারই জিজ্ঞাসা করা হয়েছে, যে কারো যদি ইংরেজি দুর্বল হয়, ইংরেজিতে সে যদি দুর্বল হয়, তাহলে বিদেশি ইউনিভার্সিটিতে পিএইচডি করার তার উচিত হবে বা কিরকম হবে সেটা তার কাছে? এই প্রশ্নটি আমি নাসিম আহমেদ তার কাছে রাখছি।
Yeah, so probably really I feel I am quite, I'm in a position to answer this question because I had the same situation. Like I got only 25% marks in English on 10th standard. So আমি কি করেছিলাম, আর আমি এখানে এসে যেটা বুঝলাম যে I would say definitely you should have good, I mean minimum average standard of English. তুমি এখানে পিএইচডি করতে আসবে ইউরোপ বা যেখানেই যাও, সেখানে ডেফিনেটলি ইংলিশ ছাড়া আমাদের কাছে আর কোনো ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ থাকবে না। সো ইংলিশ তোমাকে মানে ঠিকঠাক বোঝার যে একটা ক্যাপাবিলিটি ওটা থাকা প্রয়োজন। অ্যান্ড দেন তুমি যদি কোনো একটা প্রশ্ন জিজ্ঞেস করতে চাও, ওই ক্যাপাবিলিটি অ্যাভারেজ লেভেল অফ যে একটা এক্সপেক্টেড লেভেল ইংলিশ, ওইটুকু না থাকলে আসলেই প্রবলেম। অ্যান্ড দ্বিতীয় কথা হচ্ছে পিএইচডি করতে আসবে ফান্ডামেন্টালি মিনস ইউ উইল রাইট সাম আর্টিকেলস, আর আর সেই আর্টিকেলটা তুমি তো ইউরোপিয়ান কোনো ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ জানো না যে ওই 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 ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে আর্টিকেল পাবলিশ করবে। সো ইউ উইল বি হ্যাভিং অনলি ওয়ান অপশন, দ্যাট ইজ ইংলিশ। তো ইংলিশে আর্টিকেল লেখার জন্য তোমার একটা বেসিক ইংলিশ না থাকলে প্রবলেম। তো আমি বলবো যে আই এম শিওর দ্যাট ইউ গট মোর মার্কস দ্যান মি। তো তুমি জাস্ট একটা বছর সময় নাও বা 6টা মাস সময় নাও ইংলিশ ইমপ্রুভমেন্টের জন্য। ট্রাস্ট মি, ইট উইল বি ওয়ান অফ দ্য বেস্ট ইনভেস্টমেন্ট দ্যাট ইউ হ্যাভ এভার ডান অর ইউ ক্যান এভার ডু টু ইয়োরসেলফ। তো and তারপরে তুমি অ্যাপ্লাই করতে শুরু করো, and that's how I did and I got success, trust me.
রাইট। আর একটি প্রশ্ন আমি সাহিল পারভেজের কাছে রাখছি, যে কারো যদি ডিগ্রিতে 1 বছরের গ্যাপ থেকে থাকে, গ্র্যাজুয়েশনে হোক বা মাস্টার্সে হোক, তাহলে তার কি ফরেন কান্ট্রিতে পিএইচডি তে অ্যাপ্লাই করার কোনো প্রবলেম হবে, কোনো ইস্যু
না,
তৈরি হবে এই ব্যাপারটা?
হ্যাঁ, কোনো ইস্যু হয় না। বিকজ আমার যতগুলো কলিগস আছে, মানে এমন অনেক আছে যারা হয়তো মাঝখানে মানে মাস্টার্স করে কাজ করতে ঢুকে পড়েছে, বা মানে বেশ মানে 20 বছর পরে হয়তো আবার আসছে পিএইচডি করার জন্য বা মাস্টার্স করার জন্য। তো এরকম অবশ্যই মানে এটা কোনো একটা ইস্যু হয় না।
ওকে, সো মাধুরী রানা উনি একটু এলাবোরেট করতে বলেছেন, the procedure of getting fundings for PhD and postdoc. So I would like to address this question to Dr. Ramiz. Dr. Ramiz Iqbal.
See, yeah, so you don't need to see, it's very difficult to get funding, okay, like personal funding. Okay, I told you about this because most of the positions, I believe, it's basically funded by either the professor or by the country. Mix kar raha hai. So what matters is like look for opportunities. As soon as you see some good opportunities, we should just apply, and then rest of it would be taken care by the professors or by the universities. So I would say that at this point, it's not mandatory for you. If you have some good proposals or let's say some funding, which is good. If you don't have, this is not a problem, because I know, I know some people who have done PhDs even from MIT, Harvard, and then they got faculty positions without even writing proposal. So this is optional, this is like, if you can write it, it's write it. But if you're not able to write it, then it should be fine, So I would say that don't worry too much about that part, okay? But if you have
Okay.
some other questions, I can answer. But I think I didn't get the question actually, probably.
Okay, we have one more question to you. It has been asked by Nireen Sultana. Is GATE score chemistry required for PhD admission in abroad?
No, in abroad, no, no. Yeah, no.
Actually, in Singapore, it requires, like, if you are having
In Singapore,
8 score,
yes, not in
or
Europe, yes.
yeah, not in Europe. Yeah.
All right. So we have two last questions. রাইসুল আহসান প্রশ্ন করেছেন যে সাহিত্যে পিএইচডি ডিগ্রি করতে থিসিস টপিকটা কেমন হওয়া উচিত, যার দ্বারা একটু নতুন কিছু আবিষ্কার করা যায়, প্লিজ একটু জানাবেন। রাইসুল আহসান, আপনি আমাদের এবিপি অফিসিয়ালের যে ইউটিউব চ্যানেলটা আছে, ওখানে গিয়ে রিসার্চ গাইডের প্লে লিস্টে যাবেন। আপনার এই প্রশ্ন রিলেটেড অনেকগুলো ওখানে প্রোগ্রামস আছে, তো সেখান থেকে আপনি আপনার এই প্রশ্নের উত্তরটা পেতে পারেন। তো যেহেতু আমাদের স্পিকার্সরা মোস্টলি আর ফ্রম সায়েন্স ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড, তো এই কোশ্চেনটা আমি শুড আই স্কিপ ইট?
না, আমি একটা জিনিস বলে দিই, যে আমাদের যে লাস্ট প্রোগ্রাম হয়েছিল পিএইচডি থিসিস অন ডক্টর অনিন্দিতা সোম, এখানে ওটা পেয়ে যাবে অ্যান্সার।
রাইট, রাইট। আর one last question from Joydeep Chakraborty. As a student of literature, should I go for doing PhD in foreign or India? My English is not so good, and what new research should we do? What should my thesis topic be like? So I would like to address this question to Dr. Akram.
So as a student of literature, should I go for doing PhD in foreign or India? My English is not so good, and what new research should we do? What should be my thesis topic be like? Joydeep, it depends on what you want to research on. If you want to research on topics like which is of international concern, migration related topics, or topics which is related to um, South Asian culture, which is related to South Asian history, South Asian literature. There are many South Asian sub-departments in Universities all over the world where you can do your PhD, and those are very good departments. But if you want to do specifically related to some region of India, Bengal, Punjab, Maharashtra, state, some specific state of India, or their literature or their culture, their language, then it's better to stay in India. Does that answer your question? Joydeep
I think
Chakraborty?
Yes.
So more broad topics, South Asia specifically, you can do from many very good sub-departments all over the world, including US, UK, and some European countries. If you want to do specific work on Bengal, Bangladesh, also you can do that. But যদি state related literature হয়, state related culture হয়, এইসব জিনিস হয়, অনেক ইন্ডিয়ার মধ্যে স্পেসিফিক কোনো জিনিসপত্র হয়, ইন্ডিয়াতে পিএইচডি করাটা বেটার হবে, কারণ তোমার অ্যাক্সেস থাকবে, এখানেই তোমাকে ফিল্ড ওয়ার্ক করতে হবে, এখান থেকে করাটা তখন অনেক বেশি সুবিধাজনক হবে। তোমার যদি অনেক ব্রড টপিক হয়, সেক্ষেত্রে তুমি অবভিয়াসলি যেতে পারো।
রাইট। সো আমাদের আর একটি লাস্ট প্রশ্ন আছে এবং আমি সবাইকে রিকোয়েস্ট করব আর প্রশ্ন না করতে, উই আর অ্যাকচুয়ালি রানিং আউট অফ টাইম। সো এই প্রশ্নটি আমি ডক্টর ইকবালের কাছে করতে চাইবো। সুপর্ণা গড়াই প্রশ্ন করেছেন, ডু ইউ নিড 3 papers as a primary criteria to be eligible to get PhD in IITs?
No. For PhD degree requirement, no. But if you apply for faculty, yes. If you can, I mean, it depends. Like some IITs probably have some criteria to give, let's say, a PhD degrees. I don't know what is the criteria, but I would say that definitely not 3. Maybe with 1 publication also you can get a PhD degree. But if you are applying for a faculty job, I can tell you that without 3 publications, 3 first other publications, they won't shortlist you, at least in the IITs that I can tell. For social science, I have absolutely no idea. For science, mostly for the engineering, I can tell you, yes, this is the criteria for faculty. But getting a PhD degree, probably not. With 1 publication also you can get, But again, one more thing I just want to add up here, sorry. I mean, those who are looking for PhDs, so those who are looking for PhDs, don't get fascinated by the country, okay? Wherever you do PhD, look for a few important things, okay? The first thing is what topic you want to, on what you want to work on, if the topic is good enough. The second thing is how the lab is going to support you. Okay, this is probably the most important thing you should think of, okay? How is the lab going to help you? There are some labs where you just enter. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the professor also plays.
I mean, I'm coming to that. I'm also coming to that. So the lab you're going to work. So basically, the contribution of the lab in your career development. The third thing is whether the lab has a toxic or good environment. Toxic environment, good environment, I'm not going to talk. But you should understand the fact. So if the lab has a toxic environment, then you have a lot of issues, on your mental health or something. So I would not recommend. So, so again, I say that don't get fascinated by the country. You can do a good PhD anywhere in the world if you get a very supportive environment, which is free from toxicity, which because in the beginning of your career, you need a lot of support, okay? By the lab, by the colleagues, by the professor, whoever it is, okay? So look for those things, because those things many people, they don't know or they don't give enough importance. But end of the day, when you join, you will see that those are the major primary factors for you before you select something. So please look into that. The country comes after that, okay? That's what I want to say. But anybody has some specific questions on that? I think this is the first thing you should get a very good clarification about, and I'm happy to answer.
All right. So we are ending our question answer session here. What a interactive session it was. Thank you very much everyone for asking such valuable questions, and thank you all the speakers. Now I would like to request Dr. Akram to give the thank you note of the program.
Okay, thank you ABP. Thank you, Jannat, who specifically worked behind the doors with her team to prepare the whole, to conduct the whole session. Thank you, Dilruba, for hosting and interacting with the speakers and also inviting the speakers. Thank you all the students who joined here and made the program a good success, a grand success, I'll say. Thank you, um, Dr. Mehboob Shahana, for helping us with the speaker list. Thank you, other team members. And in summary, I'll say that this was one of the most fabulous programs in the history of ABP Research Guide. Many people learned a lot. Many people learned for the first time how to start the whole PhD process. Many people show some examples of actual email, which was very helpful, and thanked Nasim for that. Thank you, Ramesh, for some good points you have raised during your talk. And thank you everybody for asking such a wonderful questions. It was a very fascinating program. Thank you all. See you next time. Bye.
Yeah, thank you everyone, and then feel free to be in touch, and I wish you all the very best, whatever you do in your future. Yeah.